thought of another little instant, these things that happen to you, how brave you can get. We were sent out one evening, it was moonlight, and it was in the desert, of course, and we had puttees those days, and we wrapped puttees around our boots so that it wouldn't make too much noise. Some blokes seemed to like making a noise for some reason or other. But we went out towards the jury lines, and then we stopped and made a circle and lay down with all rifles on the ready. And then once again there was me and about 4 other guys. We was told right over. There was a burnt out truck. We could see it in the moonlight. And we had to advance on that truck, you know, ready to pull the trigger any minute, going forward, step by step, frightened as hell, you know, waiting for a bullet any minute. And we get up there, no, nothing there, nothing there. They get braver and braver and walk around, nothing there. Get up and stand up, yeah, braver and braver, nothing there. No Jerry's there at all, you know. So you come back to your what's name again, and then that was our little evening patrol, that you had to go out and see what was out there. But oh dear, you just little incidents that happen. War is war, and there are times that are very, very sad. In our unit there was a fellow who just couldn't take it anymore. He stood up. I didn't see him, but I knew it happened because we were there after. He stood up and put the rifle butt on the ground and put the other end under his chin and pulled the trigger. Sad. Then another bloke shot himself in his tent. Just couldn't take it, you know. Then you get another bloke who'd, like we were shot before, tread on a mine. I know a bloke, Ollie Spadetto, he turned out to be a taxi driver when he came home. He was a scavenger, and he used to go around when we could, when we were having a bit of a rest or something, around the old burnt out tanks and stuff like that, and some of them used to get some quite a good equipment off them. And he found a flare, a very flare. They fire them out of a pistol at night time, and they're recognition flares. This, when I talk about that episode of the French flying, who fired on us, they put out a flare because they knew they could recognise the colour and all that sort of business. Well, he found this flare and he put it in his pocket. Later on, when he tried to take it off, he'd taken it out a bit rough and a bit quick, and it went off in his trousers, and he got horribly burnt on the leg. So that was what happens to blokes that got around doing those sort of things. Yes. And I suppose I can remember coming off the boat. Yes, at Tufik. We had our big kit bags those days, you know, all our stuff was in there, and one bloke, he had bits of motors out of aeroplanes and everything. He was a fairly strong boy, of course. And then when we got off the ship, there was a lot of wogs, Egyptians, who would carry your bag, sir, carry your bag, you know. I can see this bloke still. It was a ton weight, and this poor wogger took all his time to walk around. I suppose he paid him for what he bound to, but oh dear, yeah. He was another scavenger. He around everywhere getting little motors and dials and things. He probably did all right when he got home. As I say, the little experiences that you're sitting in your slitty even, and these things happen. One morning we were getting shelled. Actually, we got shelled all day long, and nobody got hit. The whole day we got shelled, And one other morning, we got a few shells came over. They used to come over now and again, and a few shells came over. I was in my little slitty, and in front forward there was another shell depression, and there was two guys, Burgess and I forget the other one, two guys in there, and we used to be at night time in there, and day and night used to be in there, and they were covered with a blanket, because I didn't know that till after. And this Joe, he was out, and it was about breakfast time. Whether he had his disky with him or not, I don't know, but a shell came over and hit him. It didn't hit him, but shrapnel from the shell hit him in the leg. And he just stood there and wobbled around, and he said, "No fucking Jerry's going to fuck me," he said, and he collapsed. And they come along and took him away in a stretcher. He lost his leg, but the other bloke in front of us, who was sleeping in the depression and in the share hole, I saw there, and all of a sudden I saw a blanket going up in the air. And it wasn't until after, when we examined the blanket, it was absolutely riddled full of shrapnel holes, and these blokes were still quite safe lying in the bottom of the shell hole. So just the concussion, you know, it crossed the bottom, it lifted it. It didn't lift them just as well. I can remember sitting in the desert. There used to be a squad. They would go and make a routine area, and they'd cut the bottoms and tops off benzene tins and join them together and sink them in the ground and put a top on them, a seat on them, and then cover them with a bit of screen around it. Well, not necessarily in the desert, no, just wide in the open. So we used those for the latrines. And there was always back, you know, in the rest area sort of spot, and there's generally some wogs or whatever. But this was in Italy. Sitting on the latrines, when they were used, they'd dig other ones, you know, alongside, but they always put a cross where the latrine was. So whether they don't dig them up for a second time or something, I don't know. But just a piece of timber and and they wrote latrines on them. But I can remember an eye tie came along. And I was on the toilet. And he looked, he said, "Soldata morta qui," which is there a soldier dead here? He thought it was, I'm sitting around in the cemetery, I think. A soldata morta qui. Yeah, is there a soldier dead here? Very embarrassing. Any time with me, talk about me, ever was in a retreat. This was in the desert, and we set off just at dusk. They heard, our officers heard that there was an attack coming in on the left by some tanks, German tanks. So we had to go out there and dig in positions and wait for them. They had an idea where they were coming around. Well, we got there, I don't know what time it was now, but anyway, we dug in. No, we didn't dig in. We didn't dig in at all. We just got there about daylight and we had to wait. I was one of the blokes that happened to be near our captain, and Robinson his name was, and we heard the tanks coming, and it was quite a long while before you could hear the rumbling of the tanks coming. We were just up back on the hill, you know, and we saw, there was an anti-tank gun behind us, right behind us. We shouldn't have got there to start with. We saw the tank coming up and getting bigger and bigger over the top, and this anti-tank gun opened up. And it's pretty, you know, the noise was terrific off those blokes especially when they're going over the top of you. They hit the tank, and the top flew out, and a couple of boats jumped out of it, because this is quite a distance away. They've only been so big, you know, from that. And there's a fight going on between this anti-tank gun and the tanks. He was firing back. So somebody got out. And the skipper said, let us get the hell out of it. And we actually got up and ran. And we ran way up to get out of the line of these two blokes having a go at each other. But I don't know what happened, but it failed. The Jerry's didn't come any further. And the tank didn't come any further either. It stopped where it was. I think somebody else might have got it. But for some time went before it was night time. We waited there all day, and we had to march back out. And we marched all night. And the blokes were that tired that we were stopping every 5 minutes. And then some of them had to wake them up, you know, exhausted. We hadn't anything to eat since we left. And we didn't know where we were going. We just had to, okay, blokes, up and do a bit more and bit. And we arrived back at some camp. It must have been set up for us, I don't know, in the morning, and for breakfast. And we went to our Jaxies and we got them all full because we were that hungry. But when we had breakfast, you could only eat that much. Your stomach had shrunk that much. It wouldn't take any more, you know. It's an amazing feeling, but that's about the only time, and it wasn't very pleasant to march when you're tired and you have to keep on marching back. But I think that's about the only retreat we had. But it was a bit of a tussle with that tank. Yes. Well, I don't know. As far as I'm concerned anyway, and others, you do as you're told. The sergeant does what his boss tells him, and his colonel or whatever it is does what the brigadier tells them to do, because they have a meeting before, and they know what place they're going to attack. And just the ordinary infantryman with his rifle, he's just told where to go and where we're going, and you do as you're told. I mean, you probably don't even know where you're going until bullets start to fly, and then you get down and you fire off a few rounds. You don't know whether you killed anyone or not. Especially when you've got tracer, you see the tracers going out. When we used to go out at night time on a recce, from where we left, they would have a machine gun, or a couple of machine guns, facing up into the sky, and every fourth or fifth bullet would be a tracer. So they'd let a burst go, and there'd be 2 or 3 tracers in it. So when on the way back, you know where to come back at night time. You just follow you see those traces, you know, that's where you come back to. It's all clever stuff. Because we had our good times as well. I'm talking about in Egypt, where it was the first time when they're taking us up. Of course, it was a bit different then, but they were taking us up to the front line more or less in these steel wagons, like cheese wagons. We used to close the doors in the night time and then sleep there all shoulder to shoulder, you know, on the floor of these. And quite cold in the desert at night time. You wouldn't take your jacket off. And in the daytime you used to open the doors, because a big sliding door about 6 foot wide, open them, and we'd sit there, who could sit in there and have your feet hanging out the side. And they used to have bridges there with steel sides on them. And there was a bit of a trap. There's about 3 cars ahead of us. They caught these blokes on the legs, going across, got a parapet, you know. But the boys, because they had rifles and ammunition, and there's a lot of dingoes, whatever you like to call them, dogs, in the desert, wild ones. And if they saw any, look out for the dog, because there was shots going the whole train length, shooting up these dogs. But the funniest thing, not that I ever did, but the funniest thing was they have power poles out there as well, you know, or telephone, whatever they were. And you'd pass a little village and there'd be a lot of wogs out there standing out watching the train. Some of these bugs, there's a bloody wog, and they would not intend to hit him, but and put some shots near them. And you see these wogs run to the pole, the post, and get behind the whole row of them in a line, back behind the post, and these shots go to turn the hell out of them.